Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm hoping you guys are all having a fantastic day. So, if you recall yesterday the webcam wasn't working, so I don't know if the quality is worse today. In general, I do know that the quality of this webcam is not good. So, it's really old, so it's a miracle that it's working in the first place. But regardless, hello, welcome. Today we'll be talking about several winter storms that are there are several on their way, and I know that we have already one going on right now across the country. But there's a potential nor'easter. You may have heard about that. There's a potential storm in the southern United States, the Oklahoma, Texas area. So there's a ton to talk about. I can't really make this intro long, but if you guys are new to this channel, hello and welcome. I do everything about the weather. I'm a weather enthusiast, so consider checking out this video, this channel, and see if you would like to subscribe. And if you are a returning viewer, liking the video would be awesome. Otherwise, let's get into this video and start talking about these potential storms. So as I was saying, there's a lot of stuff to go over. We already have one winter storm going on right now, and that's what I want to start off with, the one that is going on across the United States currently. So notice that there are winter weather advisories across much of Iowa, Wisconsin, Nebraska, and into portions of Michigan. There are winter storm warnings, right? So if you recall, there was the high resolution models were showing heavier amounts of snow, and the global models were showing lighter amounts of snow. The National Weather Service definitely went with the lighter amounts, hence the winter weather advisory. To be honest, I don't know. I mean, it's a safe call to go with the winter weather advisory, but since here are my opinions, and people come here to kind of see what I have to say, I guess. What I would say is that definitely expect some amounts higher than 6 inches. And you may be wondering why 6 inches? Why is that number so important? In order for there to be a winter storm warning, there needs to be 6 inches or more within 24 hours. And I fully expect many counties, many areas to get more than 6 inches across Iowa, Nebraska, and Wisconsin. There's already some locations in Nebraska over 3-4 inches, and this has just begun, really. So again, let's take a look at this. If you look at portions of Milwaukee and into southeastern Wisconsin, Madison, they are forecasting around 3 to 5 inches, and again, that's really pushing it close. That 6 inch border is the winter storm watch criteria, winter storm warning. So I know that they definitely considered it, but they decided not to. But I do think these systems really overperform oftentimes. Will it happen this time? Maybe not, but no, it's 3 to 5 inches. It's definitely a heavy snow, so the snowfall rates will be lighter, right? And I'm not, this isn't a borderline heavy event from the high res. The high res models, if you're to take a glance at them, they show copious amounts of snow. Some models showing 20 inches. Now, obviously, that won't happen, but I do think that there will be some amounts reaching over 6 inches at least, and that's the winter storm watch criteria. Notice that this is the HER model. Just through to tomorrow at 7 o'clock in the morning, we have many locations across Iowa in that pink, which is 6+ inches. Same with Nebraska, eastern Iowa, and into portions of Wisconsin, where it's still not over with. If we were to go back to even the latest model run, which was 18 hours out. Notice, just taking a glance at this is a recipe for a winter storm. And you can see 6-8 inches. Obviously, this is assuming a 10-to-1 ratio, which it may not be exactly a 10-to-1. It will be lower, right? But, even if it's a 10-to-1 ratio and it's lower, say an 8-to-1 ratio, and you get some amounts approaching 11 inches, if you apply the correct ratio, that will be still over 6 inches. So, again, I think it's good since it's more isolated that they went with the winter weather advisories. But don't be surprised if don't go off the fact that, oh, winter weather advisory, this is going to be a small event. Again, that's just a really bad assumption to make, and the National Weather Service says themselves, keep an eye on the forecast, because oftentimes they could issue a winter storm warning while the storm is already going on. That has happened before, especially if it overperforms. Now, let's take a glance at, for say, the NAM 12KM model. This is how much snow it shows. Yeah, quite copious amounts of snow, and if you're to take a look at the radar rain/frozen, we definitely see that across much of, in terms of the radar. I apologize if it's a bit slow. This computer is a bit running slower today. Why is it showing the 12Z? Okay. So this is the noon run, and notice that what it shows is that rain developing with that snow. And honestly, so far, if you were to take a look at the radar, this has happened. The radar is really well mimicking what the NAM and the high-resolution models show, more so than the GFS or the European, which show the lighter amounts, which is why I'm leaning towards the heavier amounts right now. And it's not from a place of bias. Chicago's not going to see much snow out of this in the first place. So notice that a lot of this snow is going to be falling heavily and for a long time. This is 5 p.m. today, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So you could see a lot of Iowa, a lot of Nebraska, lots of southern Wisconsin, just seeing the snow, consistently getting kind of reinforcements, if you will, from the rainy side to warm side with precipitation. And if that wasn't enough, you could see this is 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m., 5 a.m., 6 a.m. It starts finally getting away from Nebraska, but really kicking up across Michigan, Wisconsin, Iowa, northern Illinois, and then this is where Chicago may get a bit of snow if you from the Chicagoland area or northwestern Indiana. We may get less than an inch, maybe an inch to 2 inches if it's like a really aggressive scenario. Notice it does clip around a bit of snow. I think snowflakes are possible, obviously, but I don't think there will be like 1 to 2 inches. But notice that's where it moves through. And again, if you're to take a look at the snowfall amounts with that, they are pretty heavy. Many locations over 6 inches. This is 10 to 1, right? So that's a bit higher, but most models are showing higher. This is the NAM 3KM. Let's go back to the 12Z. That's the one that's fully loaded. Notice the NAM 3KM even shows some isolated 12 foot locate 12 inches, which I don't think will occur. But if you're to take that ratio and make it proper, it would still be over 6 inches. And taking a glance at one more model that I want to look at is the RGEM. Notice it shows pretty widespread heavy amounts of snow, and even into portions of Chicago includes a little bit of snow. Not a lot, but a bit, right? Now, this is just one system. Once this passes, we still have a whole bunch of other storms on our way. And let me tell you that portions of Canada will be also seeing very heavy snow with this. Notice we have Quebec right there, Ottawa, Montreal, Toronto all lined up here, and it will be pretty close call again whether or not this system goes further to the south. But again, 7 inches in terms of centimeters. I don't know the exact conversion. I think it's 2.54 inches is or 2.54 centimeters is 1 inch. So kind of multiply by that. But again, this is a bit of a wrong ratio because it's, well, this actually might be right. I think this is right because it's going to be colder up here. So that's actually probably pretty accurate. But let's take a look at some of the global models with this system. I want to show you that the GFS, let me quickly glance at the North American model on pivotal weather because I think here is where they have the updated. Okay, well, I was going to say updated forecast, but it's just starting to come into 18Z. It's definitely delayed, and that's what they're saying. They're missing data, model data, so that may furthermore make the information accurate. Notice the NAM with the latest model run is showing widespread 6 inches plus, with honestly even some amounts approaching 10, 13 inches. And that's only through tomorrow, 9 o'clock in the morning, where it's still going across Wisconsin. So really, this could be a pretty big boom. Or, if this occurs the way the models are showing. NAM 3KM, I'm assuming, is also delayed, but yeah, I mean, you can see it's really just, echoing large amounts of snow across much of Iowa. And again, it's only a bit in, so it's progressing. And the HER model, we already looked at that also. Well, okay, so yeah, the model data is missing, which makes this a bit harder, but let's take a look at some global models. The GFS, again, is that model which the National Weather Service seems to go with, but still, I mean, the GFS really in the last model run increased a lot of the snowfall. And if you were to look at Milwaukee and southeastern Canada, Wisconsin, the National Weather Service painted 3 to 5. The GFS is showing, some 12-inch amounts. Now, we could look at the Kuchera, which would make it a bit more accurate. Still, amounts higher than 8 and 9 inches, which is what the National Weather Service has as their 1 in 10 highest amount, like very unlikely probability of occurring, which isn't really demonstrated by the models. Now, the Canadian, I want to show you one last model. This is the Canadian, the Kuchera. The Canadian definitely doesn't show a lot, so that's still showing amounts over 6 inches, which it's just astounding for me that the National Weather Service doesn't even have a single area in the yellow color, but we'll just have to see. Maybe they're seeing something I'm not, which oftentimes is the case, but there has been times where they haven't, obviously. Now, that's just the first system. We have a ton more of storms on our way, right? So let's take a look at the European. Let's go to surface and precipitation, and let's time that second system out along with this first one that's already occurring. So again, for those that are tuning in, this system right now is occurring across the Midwest. It's going to snow across Wisconsin, southern Wisconsin, much of central and eastern Iowa, and western Iowa into eastern Nebraska, northern Kansas, and into Michigan and southern Canada. Notice that this is the track it takes. 7 o'clock in the morning Saturday, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 7 o'clock in the evening, 6 o'clock in the afternoon, around that time frame. And then notice, depending on which time zone, and then notice this is 2 o'clock in the morning Sunday, so affecting now Canada. But what we start seeing at this same time is a low pressure that is currently now in the west start to take action across the southwest, Colorado, New Mexico, Arizona, Utah, seeing snow. It really starts exploding with precipitation as we push into early Sunday morning. So this weekend, it's going to be a quick flip back from this system to this storm. And notice, Panhandle of Texas, pretty heavy snow occurring. Amarillo, Oklahoma City dives into that snow. Portions of southern Kansas, pretty heavy snow. And this will continue to spread further to the east, but with mainly rain. And the thing is that what makes this even more complicated, and I'm sorry if I'm going a bit fast in today's video, unfortunately, there's just, I could be making a separate video on each one of these systems, but I don't, because that would make an hour-long video, and that would just be way too long to upload. And I understand maybe some of you would want to watch that, but most wouldn't. But notice that if we take a look at this, this system, now the European is showing it potentially developing a snowy and icy side into Kentucky, Tennessee, West Virginia, Pennsylvania. And again, this is Monday, so still under 100 hours out. We already are on kind of our third phase of a different system. That was our first one, second phase, and then it turns into rain. And then look at that, it's showing snow. Now, this isn't the big nor'easter that everybody's talking about, but it's starting to show signs that it may also be pretty potent. New York City seeing some snow, Connecticut, Hartford, Providence, Rhode Island, Boston, Massachusetts. This moves out a ton of rain with this system into southern Canada, but what we quickly see is another low pressure track across Kansas, Oklahoma, more snow, potentially into the central United States. We'll have to see how that develops. And then look, an absolute behemoth develops out of this system, dropping loads of snow. And then after that, we may get a little bit of a break, but still, again, another potential right there, and another system in a longer range. So very, very active. In terms of total accumulated quantitative precipitation, a lot, especially across the East Coast. Notice, I mean, just absolute loads of this. Tonight's system, very rainy. And then into the southeast, you can see quite a bit of rain. The west, just absolutely absurd amounts of rain. Northern plains, a bit less. But if you're to take a look at the total accumulated snowfall in the longer range, you can see that's from that tonight system. You can see this is the European model. It definitely shows quite a bit of snow, especially into Michigan and into southern Canada. Look at that, Oklahoma City potentially seeing into that 6+ inches range, which would be fascinating. I mean, Oklahoma City hasn't really seen that much snow. I think they have picked up on a few inches maybe this year. I know that the last system occurred was just to the north and west, but this time around, look at that, potentially 6-7 inches. And then look, this is that Monday system. So New York City, possibly 4 inches, Boston, 3 inches, Pennsylvania, 2-3 inches. And that's not even the exciting part. Look what happens across portions into Wednesday and Thursday and Friday. I mean, the amounts just skyrocket into the 20s, possibly 2 feet of snow for the Northeast. And that's when, that's how much snow. I mean, we have a system here, here, and here. And of course, the West just seeing absolute absurd amounts of snow. With that, notice the plains of Canada also picking up on some snow in a longer range, though. This is inaccurate because that's assuming a 10-to-1 ratio, which this will be falling at much more fluffy amounts, or fluffy ratios, which is a higher ratio. So again, a lot of details and just a lot of information processing to do. But the GFS model, just to show you a reference in terms of its predicted accumulations, notice this tonight's storm, this is the early Monday system, also showing quite a good amount for potentially Oklahoma, Texas, 3 to 5 inches, definitely not out of the question. And then notice that the nor'easter, the GFS, is starting to pick up on, which you may look at this and be like, oh, it's way weaker. The GFS a couple days ago wasn't even showing the system. The first model that picked up on this nor'easter was the European. So if you guys want to keep the latest, basically the best model to look at with this nor'easter, I would say, is the European. But the GFS is slowly starting to pick up on it as well. Notice showing that snow. Canadian is also probably pretty good. Second best to the European, as it noticed it a bit later than the European, but it picked up pretty quickly. You could see New York City, more of a kind of mid-Atlantic system into portions of Virginia, maybe North Carolina, extreme northern South Carolina potentially. We'll have to watch this. And then notice, again, 6-7 inches widespread across Oklahoma and Texas. And as this shoves into the longer range, you can see that the pattern remains active with maybe a bit more signs of cold air coming through. GFS version 16, the GFS parallel, improved GFS model. Notice this is tonight's system, again showing widespread amounts approaching over 6 inches. So again, that'll be interesting to see that. Notice Oklahoma, Kansas seeing widespread amounts. The GFS parallel definitely keeping it a bit further to the north. Still Oklahoma City with this seeing 1 to 3 inches. Definitely the weakest, the GFS parallel shows, but it's the oldest model run, 18 hours old. And then the nor'easter, it really doesn't advocate for it. That first wave and the second wave, it takes it further to the north. So we'll have to see. Again, there's still a bit of differentiation, right, if you will. But the models are definitely starting to hone in on this and are actually doing a pretty good job this far out. So again, lots of snows on its way. If you were to take a glance at the interactive radar, which I'm using my local news station's radar, it's a very good radar. It's a very good news station, and it just makes it easy to look at, as the National Weather Service radar doesn't show the rain or snow. It just shows precip. Notice this thing is absolutely precipitation fueled. If you live across northern Illinois, Indiana, yeah, you will not be really seeing snow, but my goodness, you'll be seeing rain, and a lot of it. Potentially the strongest rainfall event in a couple of months. Notice that Chicago right there is already under some rain. We're seeing some rain right now. And notice that this rain snow line continues pushing further to the south. Madison has turned over to snow for a few hours now and is already starting to pick up on it. Very heavy snow occurring across Nebraska. Iowa also starting to see that transition occur. And obviously a lot of precip to the south to feed into this system. Again, this snow is falling very heavily. So if the rain to snow transition continues to occur quickly, we'll be looking at a increased amount of snow, potentially much higher than what the National Weather Service is looking at. But again, if it trends warmer, but at this point it's trending cooler, you can't just really undo that trend now. It would be unlikely. So I would, and it's already starting to show signs across Michigan. So this is an active thing, and 3 to 5 inches I think is going to be a pretty gross underestimate. But again, that's their forecast, that's their call. Notice, again, lots of precipitation. This thing is absolutely buoyant with precip. And if you were to look at portions of Michigan, again, a lot of these locations, Big Rapids, for example, already reporting unknown precipitation, most likely transitioning into snow within the next few hours. And that will obviously lead to increased amounts if this occurs faster. And right now, Michigan definitely seeing the most forecasted, 2 to 5, maybe total of 8. But I think that's still underdone. We'll have to see, but again, for the best information, I guess, the National Weather Service is still the best source, obviously. And obviously, they may be seeing something I'm not. But Nebraska right here, for example, it's been snowing here for quite a while. Maybe not Omaha, but further out to the west. And you can see this really isn't going anywhere. The precip bands are still there. They're forming. It's snowing. And again, we'll just have to keep this system monitored throughout the night. But 3 storms on their way. And let me take a look at tropical tidbits to show you this map now. And if you're to take a look at, this is the RGEM, and you can see that it shows quite a bit of snow into Oklahoma, Panhandle, and Texas and Kansas. So if you're wondering when would this occur, this second system, really starting late or early Sunday morning, late Saturday night, and it ends pretty much late Sunday evening. So quick, but it's going to dump snow fast, right? A lot of snow. And then notice that we have this as well up here, which I've been talking about. I think the National Weather Service is underestimating those amounts. The GFS even has trended heavier with these snowfall amounts from previous model runs. Notice this was like a couple days ago. You could see much later, or sorry, this was yesterday. Much later, right? Now it has been trending more heavier, as it's showing already reports of heavier snow across Nebraska. So lots of snow, lots of potential. I know that people want more details about their specific location. Unfortunately, that's just impossible in a 20-minute video. So a brief rundown right before I finish. Wisconsin, Iowa, Nebraska, Michigan expect snow. Obviously in the snow belt, southern Wisconsin, Michigan, not just the whole state. Expect heavier amounts of snow than forecasted. I would say I'm pretty confident about that at this point. Also, Canada expects some pretty heavy snow. Again, I would say 10 to 12 inches. So in terms of 12 times 2.5 is, I'll say somewhere 36 centimeters possibly. That may be a bit wrong, but I did there my calculation, but maybe less. But a lot of snow is definitely on its way for those locations, and into Oklahoma, Kansas, Texas. Also see potentially this weekend, late Sunday to early Monday, about 5 to 6 inches. Even Oklahoma City, again, details yet to be determined. And the nor'easter, the one across the northeast, with that first wave potentially 3 to 4 or 5 inches, and with that second one maybe a foot widespread. Again, it's very far out, and we'll just have to keep this monitored. As of now, it's just too early. And before I do go, I want to go over the snowfall amounts that have been already reported. Look at that. Kearney, Nebraska, 4 inches of snow, and it's still snowing when they were reporting that, so probably a bit higher. Maybe 5-6 inches at the end. Notice Kansas right there, Nebraska, light amounts, but again, they weren't expecting heavy amounts. They got pretty high amounts across New Mexico and Colorado. Not, atrociously high amounts, but 9-10 inches, which was a bit, as expected. But we'll really start these things filling in as there's already snow accumulating. They just haven't been reported yet. But that's basically it for today's video. See you guys in the next one. Bye.